afternoon. How are we all doing? We made it past the morning. How's the summit been for all of you? Woo! Okay, I'm Loni Stark, and for the last 3 decades, myself and my team have been working with many of you to be able to tell your brand story, to grow your business to a customer base that was humans, and humans only. And now, in this session, we're going to talk about how to ensure your brand is visible to not only humans, but AI in this agentic web. And we start to notice, as maybe you have, this trend about 2 years ago. Adobe monitors trillions of data points around what's happening on different websites. We put out the Digital Insights report that many of you have seen. And what we found was that there was a new type of traffic that was coming to the sites, and it wasn't human, it was AI. And that referral traffic was increasing at astounding rates across all industries, whether it's B2B, retail, travel, media. And these numbers are actually getting to be smaller. You think 138% is high per quarter. Initially, when we started to look at this, it was in the thousands. So that traffic has been growing. And not only that, but the conversion has also increased. So 4.4x that of regular traffic. So this was a trend that we knew that would have broad implications not only on Adobe's own business, who we also provide technology to, but all of your businesses. So the question I have here is, do you know what AI is saying about your brand? But let me ask a different question here. How many of you have used one of the LLMs this past week? Okay, like all the hands should be going up. You know what you typed into those LLMs and what you put in as your questions. Now think of the 5 closest people that you know, whether it's family, friends, enemy. How many of you know what they put into ChatGPT or Claude, etc.? Exactly. So the question isn't just what AI is saying about your brand or your topic area, but what are your human customers actually prompting? What are they asking questions about? And how do you make sure that AI is able to do that? And how are you able to do it at scale? Okay, before we delve deeper into brand visibility, let's define what this is, because there's a lot of different hallway discussions, dinner table discussions, marketing meeting discussions. But the way we see it at Adobe and the framework we use is that this shift means that you as marketers, as technologies, need to think about AI in 4 dimensions. One is brand discoverability. It's the question that we first start with, right? Is, can AI find your content? Does it even know who you are when someone asks a question? The second is around brand clarity. I've had many meetings with many of you today and over the years, and I know that your business generally isn't just one brand, you're just targeting one customer. You have multiple brands targeting multiple segments of customers, and being able to discern all your content so that when AI reads it, it understands, oh, this segment of products you want for the luxury buyer, this part of the products you want for students. Being able to have that clarity. Third is around brand authority. So just like in the whole social media era, where not only is it the content you produce, but also what other people are saying about you that lends it to whether you have authority or not. Same thing happens with AI. So what's important is not just what you're producing, but what are the other trusted sources in your segments producing. Now, many of you, if you are on LinkedIn, will see people say, oh, yes, AI checks Reddit, checks LinkedIn, checks all these areas. That is true for general content. But depending on your industry, there will be unique sites sources to your area. In fact, I was having this conversation with a CEO of a pharma company, and I pulled up some of the most important, third-party influential sites. I had never heard of them, but when I mentioned it to him, he was like, oh, yes, and he knew all about them. So there's different ones in your industry that you want to care about, that you want to have visibility into. And then finally, brand trust. Ultimately, will AI recommend you? So whether it's a new customer or a prospect, or an existing customer that's saying, hey, I'm about to renew my subscription, should I still continue with this particular company, or should I buy from this brand I already know about? Are you being recommended? And all of that has staying power, right? So it continues to renew, but that corpus of all these 4 components feed into your brand equity, whether you are chosen by humans and by AI. Now, that's quite a number of components. Some of you are probably on that journey. Others are starting out. So what do you do? So the first thing you need to do, if you're just starting the journey, is the easiest thing you can do is all the content that you put on your website for humans that you want to make available, is it readable by AI? Okay? So take a picture of this QR code. There's a free Chrome extension download. And it's simple. It's like anyone who's done a speed test of their internet can do this. You install it, and it will tell you on any given page on your website whether it's visible or not, and what's visible to AI versus what's visible to humans. That will give it to you by a per-page level. I will tell you, for it to work to increase the amount of referral traffic from AI, you're going to need to do it in the thousands and tens of thousands of pages. So that's about where the technology helps to automate that. But this gives you awareness. Okay, so we're going to delve into a lot of technology, but things are changing really quickly. AI is changing really quickly, and since I've been in this industry for a long time, and so have you, I'm always looking at what are the truths? What is the North Star? What is the thing that I can use as a framework to help me think about how I should think about AI as a new audience? So I like to break it down before we get into the technology to the economics of it. And there is, in the economics, there's a new intermediary. So just like Google search was an intermediary, just like Facebook. Remember when all of us thought that maybe we could just exist on Facebook pages, right? Okay, they're an intermediary. Just like Instagram, TikTok. There's a new intermediary, and that is AI. And why AI is different than any other intermediary that you've ever had before is that AI doesn't just pass the links and pass the person to you, refer the human to you. It tries to actually answer and have a conversation with your customer and get in between you and your actual customer to answer those questions. So you actually need to inform it and make sure that it's accurately representing you. Now, we all know about intermediaries, or seeing that first, they're free to play in, and eventually there is paywalls, there is different economic advertising, things that you need to pay into, which all makes sense for an acquisition channel. It doesn't make sense economically for a channel to reach the customers you already have, the ones that you already have a direct relationship with. So, because of this, as we talk about AI as a new audience, I want us to remember, as we have in every other era, you need to care about both audiences. The humans, they're going to have greater expectations of why they want to visit your site or to do business directly with you. And the agents that are new, and they need to make sure that the content you already have is visible, and they're going to need new types of content, facts, FAQs. Okay. Now, if you only optimize for the humans, you say, I'm just going to ignore the AI. I'm just going to deal in my human world, the one I know, all my marketing metrics fit, etc. What's going to happen is you're going to become invisible, or worse yet, AI is going to say not great things about you. You know, one telco company we work with, they have customer support issues from 5 years ago. They're concerned whether those things are still being communicated by AI. So not only are you invisible by AI, but maybe you can't even control the narrative and be saying things that are negative about your brand and you don't even know about it. Now, if you all go into it and say, okay, we're just going to AI's our new audience, we're just going to market to them, we're going to tell them everything about you. Problem is you're playing into the marketplace, right? All of a sudden, you're not really in control. You're feeding in and hoping that AI will say good things about you and AI will recommend you over another brand. But you become kind of in this commodity marketplace. You need to play there, and this is an area where Adobe's been investing in tools for you to do that, but it can't be the only place you're visible. So that's why we say you need to optimize for humans and agents, and why you hear that mantra. I want to break it down for you as to why that is the route, the North Star to always keep in mind. And to be able to do something which we call dual optimization. We sometimes we got the question actually this morning about what if you get differing recommendations about what you should do for humans and AI? My response to that is it's like you have two different segments of humans. You would do different things. And therefore, a lot of our focus has been is how, with the existing teams you have, with all of the existing budget you have, how do you scale and dual optimize for these two different audiences and do it at scale? So those are the problems and challenges that my product team grapples with in helping to innovate in this area. So I wanted to share a few things because I've also heard from different areas, hey, there's nothing you can do about AI. It's a black box. I typed in stuff. I checked with a couple friends. They all get random answers. One, it's not completely random, because if AI just came out with a bunch of gibberish, none of us would be using it, right? So it does come up with good recommendations that make sense. And our research also shows that during the holiday season, 73% of people were more happy with the purchases they made based on AI recommendations than without. So that's one thing. But the other is we've been working with clients over this last 2 years on LLM optimization. And these are some of the results that we've been able to garner. And these are just a few, right? Lovesac, 140% lift in ChatGPT citations. What does that mean? That means that someone's having a conversation, and they're in the sectional sofa business, right? About, hey, I have a family, I have dogs, where do I put everybody so we can all watch movies together, or the World Cup, okay? Then being able to say, oh, you should actually click through and go to a link on the Lovesac website. They click through. So the 140% is not only the kind of traffic that's happening and conversations that are happening, but it's also the actual referral traffic that we showed has a higher conversion rate because it's higher intent. Salome is a B2B, 10x lift in citations. And GM has multiple brands, so they worked with us. Their initial route was around 5 different car brands and saw a 35% uplift in citations. Now, you might think, how long did this take? Is this like months? This was weeks, okay? This was within weeks of making sure that existing content on your site for humans was visible to AI. They were able to get these sort of lifts. So the first area, right, to really focus on in order to make sure in this agentic web era that you're visible to AI so that the humans will come directly to you and then you want to keep the humans on your site, is this area around brand visibility. And we had announced the acquisition and the close of acquisition of SEMrush about 2 months ago. How many people know about SEMrush and the acquisition? Okay, so SEMrush, many of you know them for SEO content data, search engine optimization. But they also have one of the largest corpus of AI prompts. So 290 million. So earlier I asked the question, do you know what AI is saying about your brand? But more importantly, do you know what your customers are asking about your brand or your topic space? So in the area of visibility, being able to get that kind of knowledge of what are my customers or what are customers or people that are operating in my space around brands, around topics, my competitors, what are the questions they're even asking about? And how is how is that also coming out to all the SEO? So that largest living corpus of data that's trusted, right, is what was part of the acquisition. And we at Adobe have been investing in not only helping you with your first-party data, but also with how do you take action on it. So that's LLM optimization. So the new solution combines those two to Adobe Brand Visibility. So gets you the largest set of third-party of what's actually happening in LLMs, combine it with first-party data that you're getting about your customers, and the ability to take action and to connect it to the whole content supply chain. Adobe Brand Visibility gives you those insights and be able to take action on it, okay? And this is the set of summary of the types of information. So from Adobe Agentic Traffic Insights, engagement, SEMrush, not only the 200 plus million real prompts, but also AI share of voice, keywords as well that we track, 28 billion keywords, and together, not only being able to take action, but connecting it to how did you improve certain metrics you're looking at, like citations and all of these other areas. Okay, I have gone through a lot. We want to show you some of this. So please welcome Evie to the stage, who will demonstrate and show you Adobe Brand Visibility.
Thank you, Loni. Hello. Adobe Brand Visibility is Adobe's latest offering in helping brands compete and win in the AI-driven discovery landscape. Now, you've heard about LLM Optimizer before, so you must be wondering what is different. We have combined SEMrush's market intelligence with Adobe LLM Optimizer's optimization and measurement capabilities. It's the industry-first end-to-end application that helps brands understand their visibility, improve it, and prove business impact. Now, let's take a look using Adobe.com as an example. Of course, all the data you'll be seeing are fictitious. With Visibility Overview, we get an immediate baseline of our AI presence across markets and models. This is powered by SEMrush's massive AI data, real questions that people are asking LLMs like ChatGPT and Gemini. For example, here we see that Adobe is associated with more than 3.7 billion monthly audience opportunities across AI conversations worldwide. This is telling us the size of the demand and how effective we are at capturing it. Now, let's say we want to check some prompts or topics that are related to our business. For example, whether let's say, AI image generator is something that we need to be investing on. Immediately we see thousands of related topics and tens of thousands of associated prompts. This is telling us the exact size of the demand for that specific topic that we're looking into. Now, let's understand how Adobe compares against others in the market. Here we see where Adobe is winning in and where others are gaining ground. Quite a lot of you use LLM optimization tools to track prompts and topics related to your business. But what you really need to know as well is whether your prompt strategy is actually aligned with the market. Adobe Brand Visibility continuously evaluates the health of a brand's prompt strategy. Using AI, it identifies and prioritizes the highest impact recommendations and as well helps uncover any key strategic gaps in your strategy. And instead of actually having to go and analyze thousands of topics and prompts, we get a prioritized roadmap of the areas we need to focus on to help us improve our visibility. Now, insights are only relevant if they drive action. Adobe Brand Visibility automatically generates a prioritized set of recommendations for optimization, both on-site and off-site, to help us improve our visibility across conversations worldwide through AI. Of course, optimization strategy will not be relevant if we cannot actually get to execution. And this is where we get the opportunity to do it, through Opportunity Workspace. Here, for example, I can assign work, track progress, and as well collaborate with teams around topics, prompts, gaps that we're targeting. And this is really where Adobe Brand Visibility closes the loop. We can correlate any optimization that has taken place with actual improvement automatically in the system. We can see the impact that we have managed to achieve. And as well, we take it a step further, because it is integrated with Adobe 6 Analytics, which means that we can actually correlate the optimization work that has taken place with actual business outcomes. For example, revenue, traffic, engagement. This is the return on investment proof that marketing leaders are asking for. There you have it, Adobe Brand Visibility. It's a complete system with market intelligence, optimization, and measurement to help drive brand visibility return on investment. Back to you, Loni.
And it's just been amazing, the product team across SEMrush and Adobe, a little over 1.5 months since that close of acquisition to bring these products together, because the need from our customers have been so great to be able to have that visibility and to do something about it. So we talked about what I call this pointy end of the spear, what's happening with the agentic web. It's the near-term thing that you all feel, which is people asking you, how do we show up in these ChatGPTs? What's happening to my demand traffic, et cetera? But we've always been there as partners to you in the long game. So how do you win in the long game for agentic web? And what I would put to you is, and what was said this morning was that we're still in the dial-up stage of the agentic web, and I agree with that. So the speed and scale, if you imagine, of not only these LLMs, but everyone having personal agents, we're already seeing that the traffic on the internet, about half of the traffic activity is now already agents as well. That the speed and scale that's going to happen in the agentic web is going to go up. And how do you respond quickly to be able to dual optimize and be able to really win in this agentic web? And when we get to this, we talk about this idea of human and AI collaboration. It's a really area of passion for me. And I don't see a world where, as a brand, we'll be able to respond at the speed we need to without our teams working with AI to accelerate and augment. But as we go through this journey, I do think we need to be thoughtful of where AI is being placed. And here I have a 2x2 to kind of give you my perspective on where it's going. If you think about it, every brand, all your competitors have the same LLM models, okay? And they're all generating content. We've already seen it already with their LinkedIn feeds. Everyone's brilliant now with being able to talk about different topics. Is that what makes you different? What makes your brand stand out? What's your brand voice? So thinking about what are the areas you want to automate, and what are the things that are core to your identity, core to how customers relate to you, and be more thoughtful about how you spend more time there with humans thinking about meaning and thinking about your brand identity. And this was brought up this morning, too, about creative assets as well. But this applies, I think, across all parts and functional teams as you work to introduce AI so that you can keep up with the scale and speed. And one of the aspects of that is, what do you feed these agents and these LLMs that are working with your teams so that what you generate is unlike any other brand? We have, with Experience Manager, been managing trusted content of your brand, assets to be able to be delivered to the website, emails, all of these areas as mainly final copy, right? You have some level of personalization. We're expanding that to allow for context to be also managed. So one example of that is claims. So you need to have the brand truth. So whether you are generating that 1,000-line FAQ for agents, but a beautiful piece of imagery for humans to look at when they come to your site to really explain all the value of your product, you want to be able to have that context to have the product truth, the brand identity, your own data, the market signals of what people are talking about in order to not only generate things that are on brand, but things that are performant as well. And this is among a slew of innovations that we have brought into this area to help your people and AI start to work even more effectively in creating the kinds of content that actually will perform for both AI and humans. What does the operating model look like going forward? What will the new way of working look like? So with that, I want to introduce this concept of experience flywheel, the operating model for brand visibility. So let me take you through what that journey may look like. So the first, as you saw from Evie, is you sense. You have the data, the insights to sense from all of these 290 million prompts, as an example. Which ones are the ones you care about? What's your share of voice in them? What is being said? Is it positive sentiment, negative sentiment? What do you need to do to influence it? Okay? Being able to sense all that and to be able to prioritize it with data science. Being able to get that alert. The second is then from that information and that recommendation, being able to generate. And that generation happens in two models, I would say. One is that AI is able to, because it has the context that sits on in AEM, be able to generate and pull in the brand intelligence and CX analytics as well, to be able to generate things that are on brand and performant and be able to deliver it with a quick approval, as well as insights that require a change in your strategy that gets into an overall campaign or a new piece of content or knowledge that you need to generate. But being able to do that across the whole spectrum of almost instantaneous response, real-time generation of a piece of content that will influence performance and engagement of humans and AI, or something that is a longer-term shift in your strategy because of signals that you see. And then being able to deliver it and reach people. And as you saw, it's not just on your own properties. So being able to get it out to your website that feeds humans and AI, but also to your applications. But also, as we've seen, LLMs, it's not just about content. There is now this introduction of LLM apps so that you can have little parts of your site for maybe guiding someone through a selection of golf clubs or football equipment that they may need. Being surfaced with your brand as a micro experience in these LLMs, and then the full experience being on your own properties. So that is LLM apps. It's also something that we've been innovating and delivering on to make sure you're not just showing up in terms of content, but also app experiences in these LLMs. And then learn. So it's important to do these actions, but how do you do two things? One, understand what's the business impact. So you saw some of the data points from Lovesac and GM. Those were empirical, verified uplifts based on a measurement prior to an action, taking of the action as an experiment, seeing the uplift. So you can see for those of you that have been doing tests and optimization for humans, that there is this test and optimize for AI as well. And then once you have that learning, bringing it back into the institutional knowledge of the context of the stories so you know that the next time something like this happens, what worked and what didn't, so that not only are people and your teams more intelligent, but so are the AI agents. So think of this as not just context that's static, but it's living and it's ever improving. And this is what all of these solutions form that flywheel of learning and then sensing, generate, and deliver and learn. So that is the experience flywheel. It compounds your learnings so that you can continue to optimize. And that is the difference between just using AI and LLMs out of the box and how you as a brand will be able to differentiate in the long run and win the game of not only being visible in these third parties, but also continuing to grow your brand visibility. So every brand needs a strategy around dual optimization that continually, through the experience flywheel, learns, optimizes, that's for humans and AI. So it's sort of interesting. Your audience is humans and AI, and you need a team of humans and AI to be able to work with it. It's kind of like that fight fire with fire mode. So with that, to see how brands are thinking about this, I'm very excited to have Heathrow, who has 85 million visitors through their physical channel, physical airport, but also cares a lot about how their brand is showing up in the digital space. So Heathrow is it's going to be very exciting. So let's roll the video. Was that amazing? I love how we talk about AI, but at the end of the day, it's that human emotion as well. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Stephen, Head of Digital, to the stage. Thank you.
Bears, that's Doris and Edward. They've come out of hibernation this year, and they're going to be our campaign for the summer. So if you want to learn more about them, come online. But today, I want to talk about Heathrow and the journey we've been on. This year, we're 80 years young. And that's a long time to be in the aviation industry. And there's not many airports around the world can say they've been going for 80 years. And that's due to our innovation and our continuous development of our infrastructure and growing our passenger numbers. Last year, we had a fantastic year. As Loni was saying, over 84.5 million passengers chose to fly through Heathrow. It's a small city. We have our police, ambulance, fire services, and a host of other retail partners that support the operation at Heathrow. To give you some context, on average, we have 1,300 flights that fly in and out of Heathrow, and on average, that's around about 45 to 50 seconds a plane either lands or takes off at Heathrow. And we serve the world. Heathrow is an iconic brand. We connect the UK to over 250 destinations around the world, and that's something we're very proud of. The brand itself is Heathrow, and if you think about it, the conversations that you hear when you go to meet someone or you talk about where you're flying to, it isn't about London so much. They talk about London Heathrow, or I'm just arrived at Heathrow, or that text message says, hey, I'm heading to Heathrow now, I'll see you soon. So for us, it's an iconic brand, and the word Heathrow means so much to us. But when you sit here and you think about an airport, and you think about it's a terminal, it's a runway, it's a plane, it's about getting to the airport on time and going through security and document checks. It's also process-driven. But if you actually put yourself back in that last time you were flying through an airport, it wasn't about those processes. It was about something completely different. It was about how you felt. People travel through airports for a reason. But the connection of getting to the airport, going through security, is an emotional one. You know, people can get very stressed, anxiety. Am I going to make it to the airport? How long in the security queues? Is my bag going to arrive at the other side? So there are all the feelings that people go through at Heathrow and other airports around the world. And one of our objectives is to try to make that as smooth as possible. And we talk about Agentic and LMMs today, and I can talk about how the airport is changing in terms of using our new security systems so that you don't have to take your laptop and your liquids out anymore because the LMMs are learning how to use security machines in a way that hopefully gets you through the airport a lot smoother. So for us, that personal connection is what we're looking at. And what we need to do is bring the physical and the digital together. And how we're doing that is by providing the right information, because passengers' expectation now is, it's in my hand, I want to know what's happening. I want the right information at the right time, at the right place. And that's where the digital team at Heathrow come together, really. The marketing digital team do a great job, and they're going to bring the physical and digital together to understand where those pain points are in that journey. And what you see behind me here is a quite complicated slide, but if you look at top left to right is a typical departure journey, and on the bottom, from right to left, is the arrival journey, and that's broken down into various steps that every passenger who typically goes through an airport will envisage. And what we're doing in a digital sense is looking at those pain points and providing tools or information to make that journey really smooth for you. You know, on Heathrow.com today, we provide a wealth of information around security, how to get to the airport. We've created new widgets to help you personalize your itinerary. We've also launched our own AI agent called Hallie. It's on WhatsApp today, and we're rolling it across all our channels. And already it's been a great success. We've sort of deflected around 90% of the questions from our call center, and we're going to build that out even further this year. So for us, in order for Heathrow to grow and innovate, digital is a core for that, and our brand needs to be present in every channel. And once we've done that, we can then talk about our products and services. You're all probably familiar about buying car parking or buying the Heathrow Express to get to the airport, but I guess once you've gone through that process, you can then begin to relax. And you're probably thinking about buying that last-minute purchase, whether it's perfume or aftershave or a bottle of wine or champagne, or actually you just want to spend time with your family. If you think about that moment, once you get through the departure lounge, you get that sigh of relief and you think, right, what do I do? I've got it here now. It's over to you, the airport and the airline. You get me on that plane and to me that destination. But for us, that golden hour, we say, is quite unique in terms of we can talk about the meals, we can talk about the lounges and fast track and other products and services that you'll hopefully interact with us and spend that time in a way that's different from other airports in the world. But all that information is key to us. Sorry. And it's contained within a hub, a content hub, and we call it Heathrow.com. It's powered by AAM, and last year it served over 50 million visitors to our website. And that coincides with the passenger numbers that we see physically that also come to our website. And I've just called out a couple of user journeys here where people want to know how to get to and from the airport. They want to know about the security information, and more importantly, is my flight on time? And all of this information, content and data, sits within AAM. And this enables us to orchestrate the journey throughout Heathrow. But what we realized the last 12 months is that the traffic to Heathrow.com was dipping. It was tailing off. And we're trying to work out why, and we use Adobe Analytics, but it wasn't giving us the full picture. And of course, as you all know, you've all got your chat GPTs on your phone today. It's because of the LMMs. They're coming to our website, but we didn't know how they were doing. What were they doing in our area? Why were they coming? And why weren't we showing up in chat GPT? So for us, this is why we invested with Adobe, and we bought Brand Visibility. We're trying to understand what are those conversations happening in those spaces, and we're learning that today. And more importantly, what were Heathrow not showing up in, like car parking and fast track or security rules that may have changed. We've now turned the dial, and we're starting to learn and use that tool to enable us to engage and to understand those conversations. The way people search for information has completely changed. As Loni said at the beginning, everyone virtually held up their hand to say, I'm using the Claudes, the ChatGPTs, the Google AI modes now. So Heathrow as a brand needs to be in that conversation. It needs to tell the authoritative source of information to ensure that you have a smooth and pleasant trip through Heathrow. For us, the brand is important and it lives on. But in the LMM space, it's black and white. How do you ensure that we can bring the bears to life? How do we ensure that the right information that you get through those LMMs is true and authoritative to us, and actually our competitors, or worse still, fake information, is not feeding through for us? So for us, the brand visibility tool is something that we are learning to love and use every day. Who'd have thought I'd be talking about citations today? In the last 20 years, we've been talking about page views and visits, likes. For us, this is the new metrics for us, and it's something that we are slowly learning throughout the year. For us, Heathrow needs to be in the conversation, and our brand visibility is key to delivering that with so much going on. At Heathrow, we serve 84 million passengers, and we realize that trends are changing. And for us, the website, it will always be core to that central hub. And what we're doing now is understanding our brand, our tone, and our voice within that channel, not just for the physical people visiting, but for the LMM space. Unfortunately for us, we're on Adobe AM, and we're going to move to cloud. And I think this agentic era will enable us to communicate with our passengers far beyond what we have today. At Heathrow, as I mentioned earlier today, we like to innovate. What you see behind us is our vision for the future, a third runway. But the technology we invest today will enable us to deliver that for tomorrow. And with Adobe, we are really proud to be delivering and working with an LLM optimizer. So when next time you fly through an airport, just think about how you feel, and hopefully you'll have a pleasant journey through Heathrow. Thank you very much.
Wait, hold on a second. So, we're running a little tight on time, but I wanted to at least spend a moment, first of all, thanking you for coming and being such a great partner over the years. And I love how the partnership has extended from the Content Hub on AM to now LLM Optimizer. When we first started, I was actually with LLM optimization seen across industries, but I was really interested in how why Heathrow, which I thought everybody knew the brand, and you talked a little about why you would be interested in LLM optimization brand visibility. Can you speak a bit to that?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we want our information out there. We want to be the single source of truth, that trusted authoritative about everything about Heathrow. And what we realized, as I was saying, that visibility we didn't understand. And through optimization, we can now understand how we were prompting and how we're engaging or not, as we found out in some of those conversations. So for us, having that clear visibility and be able to act on it, whether it's new content or engaging with the LMMs in a slightly different way, what we're not used to. As you were saying earlier, you've got this person who are content editor. We've got a great team at Heathrow who are like 24/7 updating content, but then we've got the LMMs as well and the agents helping us to support that. So it's a really dynamic coming together that's going to actually get us better in the future.
Awesome. And maybe for everyone who's going on this journey, any advice in terms of so far what you've done, any learnings as a last inspiration for this group?
I think you need to understand is where you are in that space today. For us, it was a bit of a black hole. And I think once you understand that you're not in that space or your competitors are talking about you, you need to understand and make quick decisions. And I think for us at Heathrow, we understood that. Things like car parking, what's the cheapest car parking? We want to be in that conversation. Or what is the latest security rules? Do I need to take my laptop out of my bag? We want to be the authoritative source. So I would say two things is really understand your audience in the LMM space, and you're going to have to look at your website in terms of your brand, your tone, and your content and how you structure that. and that will hopefully deliver a better response for you.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Stephen, for coming and the partnership. And let's give another round of applause
Thank you very
to
much.
Stephen and the Bears. With that, I'll take this point to say, look, there are 3 key takeaways, which is one, we talked about the economics. Those haven't changed. It's the same intermediary economics, so that's why you need to optimize for both humans and AI, and you want to make sure your direct channel of existing customers are still coming directly to you, and use LLMs as an acquisition channel. The second is you want to be able to just not only automate with AI, but really think about how you have human and AI collaboration so that you maintain your brand identity. And as you scale up with AI, you are not sounding like all your competitors. Instead, you are maintaining your brand identity and why people come directly to you. And third, again, you need to optimize for both humans and AI. And in order to do that, you need to have a new operating system, which we have called the Experience Flywheel, that allows you to sense and be able to get the signals that you need to be able to generate, deliver, and then learn, and make sure that learning is continuous and stateful into the infrastructure that you are powering and that humans and AI are using. With that, thank you for all of your time on brand visibility, and hope the rest of your summit goes extremely awesome and you learn a lot here. Thank you.